Okay, we're day 2 here, and I have kind of a whole list of items. Now, when in the old days, when I was a kid growing up, I was involved in Boy Scouts, and I loved every minute of that, every single minute. We did all kinds of great stuff. We were fortunate to have really terrific fathers and mentors, and that would take us out camping and hiking. And we had, from an early age, my friends and I had opportunity to be able to plan our trips, to be able to pool our money together, to be able to buy our groceries. And, we'd think about this for weeks in advance, kind of what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and the materials that we needed. Now, we went on a great adventure hiking all through the Grand Canyon. It was a little over 50 miles, starting on the south rim. I did that when I was 14. South rim down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, across the bottom, up the north rim, and back down and back. It's pretty long and pretty rugged hike. And so on that type of trip, there's really no stores or any resources. You got to carry your own stuff the entire way. We also went on an amazing adventure through the Gila Wilderness in New Mexico, and a lot of places like this where we would take everything we needed and we would plan in advance. Well, okay, I have a little bit of kind of an interest here in looking at what is my resource base. I'm not going to go into great detail about this. I'm just going to show you. I lined it up all here out in my little area where I teach. And so we're going to start over here. The first thing we need, I think, is not the guitar as much as maybe a key, all right? So in our case here, key, like what's the key? From my point of view, the key is the awareness and clarity and the evolution of what our intention is, what we're actually really wanting. So one of the things that I'm wanting is to utilize food as a medicine, and that will support and help me to enjoy the optimum health and well-being, so that I'm present for my kids, physically present for my kids and my friends and my students and people I care about in the world around me. And that's partly what my intention is. So, I mean, the key, getting from here to there, I mean, you can have the fanciest car in the world, like all these guys got these Lamborghinis, right? It's like you gotta have like a Lamborghini anymore to be somebody. Bah. What if you didn't have a key for it? What if you had like this amazing Swiss bank account, right? But you don't know the account number, right? Nowadays, cryptocurrencies are taking over the universe, okay? So cryptocurrencies is a point of amazement to me. It's like, it's kind of like imaginary, isn't it? It's like code, blockchain code. It's a ledger, like a open source ledger. And people can issue cryptocurrencies. We're issuing our own cryptocurrency here for the little kids to have some fun and to experience a little ecosystem where they can buy and sell things and create wealth and learn about life and about business and how to have fun in business. So we're creating our own cryptocurrency. We're in process of it. But here's the deal. Your cryptocurrency value is whatever it is terrific. But if you don't know your password, if you forget it, if you lose your password, guess what? The value of that cannot be accessed. So our intention accesses the power of the universe that wants the best for us. The loving, creative energy of the universe is available to us, but we need the key to be able to unlock the power of it. So let me just point to a couple things here. There's going to be a lot of discussion about this for us. Let me point to a few books here, because the next step is some books. We need some resources, some books. So I've lined up some of my favorites. I'm missing a couple, but Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks is an amazing articulation of the teachings of Law of Attraction. My book, Journey Through Suffering, it's all ripped apart because it's coming back out. I put that out 21 years ago, and it's coming back out now. And that's about a mindfulness-based stress reduction and how to use mindfulness-based stress reduction and meditation practice to be able to help yourself move through difficulties. It's been very important to me personally, like amazingly important. I'll tell you stories about that later. It's right now the foundation, really, of me working with this very interesting medical thing that my doctor, told me about. She wasn't polite about it at all. She's like, Jim, you have to do something about this, otherwise you're going to die. I'm like, well, that was a nice thing to say. She said, yeah, but it's true. It's like, okay, well, thanks. So I decided I would listen to my doctor for once. Okay. Anyways, next, Full Catastrophe Living by my mentor, John Kabat-Zinn. I had the great fortune of being able to work there for a period of time back in the early 90s. It has been a big impact on me. John is somebody that I respect and admire. He created the very first meditation and yoga-based program in a medical setting in the West. And the research is incredible. Also, love medicine and miracles. I have an immense appreciation for Bernie Siegel. I'm very grateful also that he had a very nice thing to say about my book, and I'm super grateful to him. But his articulation of love as the power of healing and how we can access that and allow that to move through us, I appreciate immensely. I loaned a couple books out that I'd like to be in this pile of books, and like Dean Ornish's Reversing Heart Disease, also Dean Ornish, Eat More, Weigh Less are important. And also other books, anything that captures your imagination, that you feel good about, any book that is soothing to you, that helps you to feel good, would be a book that would be obviously in your pile of books. We need a phone because we need to be able to connect with people. We need to be able to access information. We need to be able to have a computer. Okay, moving on to food, the basic, what we got to put in our pack for this journey that we're going on here, okay? It's going to be greater than climbing Mount Everest, and it won't be as cold, all right? So we need some good protein sources. So right off the bat, one of the things I want to say is that eggs themselves, and I err on the side of organic and, organically raised chickens and range-free is, I think, ideal, but I'll leave that up to you. Eggs are an inexpensive source of protein that's very good, very delicious, but I think it's important that we don't eat the yolk. I mean, there's controversy and research about all this stuff. I'm taking the approach of not eating the yolk. Okay, other protein sources, super important. Wild-caught salmon. You can get tuna in packages like this. You can get salmon in packages like this. We just have to make sure that there's no added sugar. So in this, it's flavored with lemon pepper, and on the back, when I look at it, I can see that there's no added sugar. That's very important. Okay, I happen to like smoked trout. I don't know. If you want to go complete vegetarian, okay, great, but you notice I don't have cheeseburgers in my pile of resources. We can make that choice, but for me, I want to get somewhere with this, so cheeseburgers are out. I'm sorry, cheeseburgers. Hey. Okay, we need something like this. So cashew milk is a choice that I'm making over regular milk, and I've eliminated cheese from the equation for me. All right, we need healthy sources of carbohydrates that have low glycemic index. So I'm going to go through this real quick. I've got mixed greens here that involves kale, mustard greens, collard greens. I've got spinach. I have broccoli, cauliflower. I have a organic stir-fry mix that's frozen. That makes a nice little shortcut in terms of being able to prepare stuff and cook and do what you got to do. All right, we need some good sources of combination of protein and fat. So I have pecans, almonds here. I have Brazil nuts, which I love. All right. You saw this is the meal I had last night. It's just a little tiny thing. And this is also was meal number 4 this morning, was the same as last night. So before I'm teaching, it's kind of physical. I don't want to eat a whole lot. I need enough energy to keep me moving. And so this is like a tiny, perfect little meal. I had this along with about 2 handfuls of spinach and a cup of cashew milk. That was my 4th meal in this series. Okay. Sources of fat. Olives, very good choice. There's fat naturally in the nuts. We need to have a little bit of fat. Okay, I'm eliminating butter. I'm eliminating really the use of oils for cooking. I'm err on the side of something like a spray. So if I want to make an omelet, it'll be an egg white omelet with vegetables and a spray and no cheese. All right, so some more carbohydrate choices. Obviously the spinach. This is like, for me, a perfect meal. 2 hard-boiled eggs, tiny amount of nuts, about 1/8 of a cup, and 2 handfuls of spinach. That's like the perfect meal, 6 times a day. Actually, that's the shortcut. That one thing, I believe it's a short. We're going to find out, right? 6 times a day, perfectly satisfying, and it will give us all the nutrients we need. Okay, I'm using a little bit of hummus because chickpeas is the main ingredient there. There is a little bit of olive oil, so there's a little bit of fat content. There's no added sugar. There's actually 0 sugar when I look at this right here. It's 5 grams of fat, 2 grams of protein, and on the carbohydrate department, 4 carbohydrates. So with this, and that would be a serving size of 2 tablespoons. So I keep my serving sizes on this to like 2 tablespoons. And so 2 tablespoons of hummus with 2 cups of spinach with 2 hard-boiled eggs, removing the yolk, and about 1/8 of a cup of or 1/4 cup even maybe of nuts is like almost like the perfect meal. Okay, I forgot my other protein source, which sometimes here I'm going to have a little bit of Greek yogurt. Very important here though, that there's no added sugar. Very high protein, 20 grams of protein, 9 carbohydrates. It's all naturally occurring sugar. The fat is 11 grams. It's a little high in fat, right? I know sometimes I need the feeling that I get from eating a little bit of fat. So this would be infinitely better than eating a cheeseburger or a giant slab of bacon. By the way, I've been involved in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu for a long time. Bacon is not part of the Gracie family diet. Okay, so the Gracie family has their own way of eating. Most of all of them kind of follow it. Most of them follow it very specifically, like Hoyce, very specifically. His older brother Horian would say that actually the diet is the most important thing to him. That comes actually before his family's amazing martial art practice of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. You could check out his work if you just research Horian Gracie or Hoyce Gracie, spelled with an R, or Gracie Academy. The Horian's kids are running the academy there now, and Hoyce is out doing his own thing with his own kids who are now fighters, and it's like really, they've grown up with like their whole family lifestyle. It's a way of being. And part of that way of being is the way that they eat. And they don't eat bacon as part of their lifestyle. Now, for me, I haven't always followed the Gracie diet like perfectly. Bacon is something that I have liked, that I've enjoyed ever since I was a little kid. But it's not part of my plan because it's so high in fat. That's the reason why. Okay, moving on. Oatmeal is a source of carbohydrates. I have a 1/4 cup of that at a time. And then I have a sea of certain supplements, and I'd like to talk with you about those later. I also have a little ukulele and a couple guitars as part of the equation on my surfboard, and I'll talk with you about that later too. Hey, listen, you don't have to start surfing to deal with this, but there are some lessons in surfing that can help us along a little bit. So we'll talk about the lessons of various interesting sports and practices. We'll talk about some of the lessons in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. We'll talk about some of the lessons in surfing. We'll talk about particularly some of the lessons in going on a journey and planning it out, or going hiking or going camping like what I used to do when I was a kid. For some of this, for me, I'm getting back to my roots, the feeling of what it was like to be little, into this like amazing, like, wow, we're going on the Grand Canyon. We're going to go in the Grand Canyon. We're going to go hiking in the Gila Wilderness. Finding that sense of wonder that all of us had, each in our own way, connecting with that original energy is, I think, an important part of this process. So I want you to join with me, and I'd like to hear about like what were some of the things that really motivated you when you were little. I'd like to know about this. Okay, so and more on guitars and music and vibration also later. All right, day two's underway. We've been through our fourth meal was the first meal of the day, and it was a kind of basically about a quarter cup of nuts. It was a cup of cashew milk, and it was a couple cups of spinach. Okay, that's all for now. Keep coming back. Join me on this. We can do it.